Hey you guys, it's me Keisha Bee. I am back with another video, and in today's video, if you can tell by the ingredients shown, I am making peach cobbler or peach cobbler pie. I'm using a crust at the bottom of my baking dish. That's the only reason I'm calling it a peach cobbler pie, but it's peach cobbler. So let's get into it. So right here I have my boiler. I'm going to be using sliced peaches in heavy syrup, and also I'm going to be using sliced peaches in 100% fruit juice. This is just to cut back on the sugar a little bit. Either way you slice the pie, no pun intended, it's going to be sweet. So you just cut corners where you can. I'm using salted butter. You can use unsalted butter if you choose. I'm also using imitation vanilla. Pure vanilla is fine also. Cinnamon. Some people use cinnamon and nutmeg. I don't like nutmeg. And then I have right here my 9-inch pie crust shells. I'm only going to be using one pie crust shell because I'm making a crumble topping for my peach cobbler, which I just use yellow cake mix and butter. And we'll get to that later on in the video. So right here, I just have my 9-inch glass baking dish. Make sure it's 9 inches if you have that size pie crust. So I'm going to start adding all of the ingredients to the boiler. I'm straining my peaches because some people like their peach cobbler like syrupy or loose. I'm not really a fan of that. So I just like to add the juice as it continues to cook, the peaches as they cook with the butter and the sugar and the vanilla and all that. With baking or with any type of cooking, you can always add, but you can't take away. So I just do everything little by little. I think that's a half a teaspoon of vanilla. I think that's a fourth of a cup of brown sugar, and then a fourth of a cup, or a little under a fourth of a cup of white sugar. You guys, I did my best to try to measure these ingredients, to list them below. That's about a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and that's a fourth of a cup of the fruit juice, the 100% fruit juice, plus the heavy syrup mixed together. As I stated before, I try my best to measure the ingredients to list them below, but true to any real cook, we don't measure shit. We don't. We just don't. It's in the wrist. You feel me? So anyway, the peaches and the sugar and the butter and the vanilla and the cinnamon are going to start to cook down. I'm just going to place a top on that and let that finish cooking. After it starts to cook a little bit, I just take a potato masher and then I use it to mash the peaches just to kind of see how soft they are, and then to also extract more of that juice from the peaches. That way you don't even need that reserve. So right here I'm adding a little bit of cornstarch. So let me tell you, I lucked up because if you add cornstarch or any type of, like flour to a hot mix, it will clump on you. Mine's did a little bit, but not as bad. But what you want to do is temper that. Or temper your cornstarch. So you take the juice and you get a little bowl and you add the cornstarch separately and you whisk it around. That's how you temper it, and then you add it back to your mix, and that will cause the cornstarch or whatever you're adding, like flour to any type of other recipe. You'll add it back and it won't clump up. See, I hope I explained that right. So it looks like my mix is cooking down. I'm just going to go ahead and turn that off. I'm adding a little bit of lemon juice just to cut that sweetness just a little bit. And I'll mix that around. I decided to add a little bit more cinnamon. I hope you guys, just please forgive me for this voiceover. Voiceovers are hard to do with videos, because people don't like to read. So I said, let me just go ahead and do this. So I'm tasting it. It tastes amazing, of course. And that is the consistency that I particularly like my peach cobbler pie or my peach cobbler mix. I don't like it too loose. I don't like it too thick. That's just right. So now I'm going to take my baking dish. I'm going to go ahead and spray it with some nonstick butter spray. And you want to make sure that when you are putting your pie shell in the dish, that it is room temperature. If you try to maneuver your pie shell while it's still cold, it will break on you. So make sure that it is room temperature, and you can just leave it out while you're making your peach cobbler mix or whatever mix you decide to put in a pie shell. It could be apple pie, it could be plum pie, whatever. So I'm just getting the edges off of the shell with a fork, and you could cut it. This is, I just like doing this. It's kind of therapeutic. And so I'm going to blind bake my pie shell crust. Reason being is you don't want to put your mix into a raw pie shell crust because it won't bake properly while you're cooking your peach cobbler. So you must blind bake it. All you do, you can add beans, you can add rice. Some people use pie weights. I don't have pie weights. And so this is how you blind bake a pie shell crust. You pop it in your oven for about maybe 15 to 20 minutes at about 360, 375. And this is how your pie shell crust is going to look. It's going to be cooked. So now you can add your peach cobbler base into your pie shell. This is only if you want to do a crust on the bottom. If you don't want to do a crust on the bottom, all you do is add your your peach cobbler mix to your baking dish, and then you can add a dough lattice top with the pie shell crust. And if you don't know what a dough lattice top is, you can Google it. But if you choose not to do that, just use the yellow cake mix as your crumble topping, which is very easy. You just sprinkle it all over, make sure you evenly distribute it. And once you've got it all over your pie, you're just going to add little like slices of butter. I was going to say dollops of butter. You don't add dollops of butter. So you'll just add slices of butter. Unsalted butter, salted butter, whatever you choose, all over your pie. And then you're going to pop that in the oven at 375 for about 30 minutes, I think. I'm sorry, y'all. Just please forgive me. I'll put all of the description, the cooking, all that kind of stuff in the description bar below. So there you have it. Peach cobbler pie. You can see it's still bubbling. Oh my gosh. Why my mama was like, when you gonna cut that pie? I was like, as soon as I'm finished making my video. Thank you. So right here, I'm just dipping the pie out of the bowl. I had a little mishap. You see that little piece of crust that fell? It wasn't trying to get in the bowl with the rest of it, but you know, I went ahead and I did what I had to do. And first of all, let's just get on, what is your peach cobbler without ice cream? Boom, you need that. That is coconut milk vanilla bean ice cream. Ooh, get into it. It's delicious. So there you have it, you guys. Peach cobbler pie. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more. Rate, like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see y'all in the next one.